Folks, this is Eric with OzoneTCG. We have some Swordsoul Tenyi replays featuring Nick. He was playing on a couple of different accounts, just at different ratings, and playing Swordsoul Tenyi, one of Sean's builds. We kind of modified his build just a little bit to fit kind of the current meta with the Alabaz Strike Structure deck coming out since the YCS. Let's go ahead and take a look at these before we play. Of course, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's take a look. So Nick is going to go first. He, of course, has a very strong opening with Swordsoul Tenyi, Incredible Ecclesia, Triple Tactics Talents, Impermanence, and Long Yuan, versus Sky Striker, which has double Impermanence, a Widow Anchor, Shark Cannon, and Rose. Double Impermanence is going to be very strong here. Of course, always starting off with Long Yuan. However, can't really have any follow-up afterwards. He'll have the Hayate, but that Hayate is not going to do a whole lot. And that is okay. So he's just going to pass from there. Kind of can't really do anything. Hayate just attacks directly. Goes probably... Okay, Afterburners, Kagari, met with that. Yeah, and this really doesn't look good for the Striker player already. He can't really get anywhere from here. He gets engaged, of course. But, you know, honestly, Nick is just going to... I mean, besides the Veiler, which does matter... yeah, it's not looking great for him. For the Striker player, that is. Nick's in a very strong position because he can kill this turn. Especially if he's able to get to another Long Yuan, which he should be able to. He's going to go probably Basha or Qishao. And either Qishao is going to search Long Yuan or Emergence, whichever. And then, you know, mill either Tenyi or another Swordsoul monster and go from there. But the Vessel is going to be what really seals the deal here. Having Triple Tactics Talents helps, especially if you want to trigger that Ray, kind of bait that out. But really, it's because of the Vessel and because he was able to stall the Baron negate. Let's go ahead and see. Vessel, yep. Crazy strong plays. Yeah, so Sky Striker just scoops it up from there. So he's going to have Nick go first. Alrighty. Rivalry is going to be insane here. This card is really strong in the side deck, especially because Sky Striker doesn't really play any outs for it besides Afterburners. They're really not playing Twin Twister, Cosmic Cyclone, anything like that. Sometimes they'll play the adventure stuff. I'm not sure if this player does play that, but this is going to be really, really strong to have. Kind of ending on this is okay too, because you can, you know, if you draw like Despot, this is okay. Fibrax Beatdown might work. You know, we'll have to see how it goes. So he sets 3, Droplet, Called, and Shark Cannon, Widow Anchor, Nibiru's done, doesn't matter. Okay, another Hand Trap. Yep, banish, take Fibrax. Yep, multi-roll. Okay, get the Shark Cannon, get Widow Anchor back. And this is going to be Despot Beatdown. So, Despot 001. The first effect gains 500 attack for each machine you control, so it's not at 500. Normally it'd be at 1,000 if you just summon it off of Fibrax or have it with Auroradon. But it actually will have 1,500 attack here, so that is 3,000 per turn, and if he doesn't make a play quickly in 2 turns, the Sky Striker player will lose. Let's go ahead and see what happens from here. You know, Nick is just trolling here with the counters and stuff, but that is a-okay. Yep, 15 should have taken that, yep. And so you definitely Widow Anchor here. Or, yeah, I would Widow Anchor. Just keep those tokens from being summoned, because the tokens are going to matter. Being able to use those tokens to destroy some back row, too, that actually is extremely relevant. Let's go ahead and see. Alright, Rhoda. So he's going to get Ray, but Ray isn't going to do anything. Ray literally cannot out Auroradon, which is kind of funny, and there's nothing he can do right now to play around the rivalry, and if he outs this rivalry, it's going to be met with the second rivalry. And if if he outs it, then he has to play through all of these Swordsoul stuff. Alrighty. Goes for Ray. Yep, so he can't summon Ray, and he just scoops it from there. The opponent just quits, understandably so, because he actually just can't play at all, so he can set Ray. It doesn't do anything. Yeah, nothing he can do there. Really good match from Nick. I love seeing this deck in action, Swordsoul that is. I love seeing it still be able to do very well. It's still a very strong deck. I think it's still like top 3 or 4 of the format. Even just you know, how it is in with the Protoss ban, just because you're able to play stuff like Rivalry. Alrighty, so this is the second match versus a Fluanderese player, and it looks like, let's see, who is going first? Okay, it looks like Nick just passed because he didn't really have anything. He's just going to keep the impermanents in hand. There's no reason to set those, because you're never going to chain impermanents to impermanents, so it just doesn't really matter too much. And of course, the Fluanderese doesn't matter. Rather D-shifter for Fluanderese, so he's just going to go map for the, the main play. You just get Ash Blossom anyway, which I think is the correct play to do. So Rabana plus map, I mean, that's what you want to see every single time this plays around Valor and Impermanence now, because he has both Book of Moon and Adventure. Yep, so Nick's just going to scoop it up from there, unfortunately, but we are going to go Siding, and then he's going to go first, of course. This is still a really strong hand, especially with no interruptions. This is going to go very well for Nick, assuming that all of his effects resolve, even under D-Shifter, which he's not right now, but if they had D-Shifter, it would still be difficult to play. And then he just draws the God card. Mistaken Arrest versus Fluanderese, basically an FTK. There's not a whole lot they can do. Having both of these, that is fine. The D-Shifter, that's fine too. Still have Chi Shao. This turns on Chang'ing. Shouldn't have done that. Because now this card is always going to be live. He can D-Shifter again if he ends up, banishing more cards from the graveyard. Yeah, this card is going to do everything because it just gains attack, makes the opponent's monsters lose attack, summoning in defense. Qixing Long Yuan is insane versus this deck as well. Yeah, and he's just going to scoop it up from there. So game 3, these are really quick matches. They're not super technical. But each player kind of just has to play out their hands the way that they are. So let's see. Okay, he gets a map. He does not get really anything else that's good. The Shifter obviously couldn't even activate, and this tells him that he has Rabana or Eagle in hand, that he doesn't need this at all. And then of course Rise, you're really never going to add off of Prosperity unless you have the Nuts opening and just have Prosperity anyway. Alrighty, Chainlink 1, then of course Chainlink 2. And then Ash is literally just going to end the turn right here. With Ash, normal summon Barrier Statue, doesn't even matter. He drew Mistaken Arrest. This is insane. Absolutely nuts to have. And he's basically just going to clear the entire board now. Let's see, so Moye, summon, yep, Chi Shao, Blackout, and then this, even under D-Shifter again. Just doesn't even matter. And then Chang'ing is going to actually have, this is going to take a little bit for them to calculate attack. Chang'ing has 4,700 attack right now, gains 100 and attack and defense for each banished card, and then it reduces all of the monsters the opponent controls by 100 for each banished, so minus 1,700 attack. So they all have 0 attack. None of them have any attack values whatsoever. Yep. So he's going to take a full, 28 plus 47. Basically going to be an FTK. Almost, there's really nothing else he can do. He can't add because Mistaken Arrest is still applying. It is not a good position for the Fluanderese player whatsoever. This is going to be really hard for them to play through. So Tokan just doesn't do anything. He gets map, but map's not going to do anything either. Even if he summons 3, he can't special summon, he can't make Zeus. Couldn't do it anyway under Barrier Statue other than attack with Kikinagashi Fucho or Assembled Nightingale. Yeah, it's just not looking good for him whatsoever. Even though that Chang'ing can't protect itself from Blackout's destruction, he can just use Chi Shao anyway. So, yep. And then he just scoops from there. So that is another W for Nick. Let's go ahead and take a look at the third match. These are progressing really quickly because they don't take too long once you have these kind of hands. And so this is versus, okay, Branded Despia, Albaz, anything like that. Let's go ahead and see what happens. So this is a typical Moye opening. Long went for Baron, yep. And Ashina, the Ashina, correct play to Ash that, but it just doesn't even matter because there's still Moye, there's still Chi Shao to refill the hand, and then you just draw and search whatever the hell you want. Valor plus Blackout plus Chi Shao plus Baron. plus follow-up, it is not looking good for the Despia player. Let's go ahead and see. Ghost Spell, not very good versus this deck. Does hit Basha, but doesn't do a whole lot afterwards. So definitely would save the Baron for Branded Fusion, or even just let Branded Fusion resolve and hit the Lubellion with Veiler. Or Chi Shao, you can't play around this card really, because it's just there. You can't really attack over it. It's just going to try and do that. Scoops from the Veiler. Didn't know I had it. Yeah, kind of just goes from there. Alrighty. 47 versus 48. Yeah, so this was the difference. We were playing Ghost Spell, because this was Sean's list originally, where we are now just playing DD Crow instead. I feel like DD Crow is a little bit better in this deck. The reason being is that DD Crow and Bell do almost the same thing versus Branded Despia specifically. It's really when you're going to take it in. At worst, can hit DP, in both cases, or banish like Celestial in the case of DD Crow. But if they play Branded in red, say they set 2 of them, well, your Ghost Spell doesn't do anything there. DD Crow just does something every single time in that case. Yeah, that's basically the only reason. It's the only difference, because it banishes the target. Now, they may be able to get the effect, say, with Despian Tragedy, but that's okay. We'd rather have them get that search rather than get the Destroy 1, Destroy 2, and Draw 1 or Draw 2 from Guardian Chimera. So we are willing to take that risk playing DD Crow instead. And I think this card, if you're playing Swordsoul Tenyi, you're probably going to be playing versus, or probably going to want to play this instead rather than that. Yeah, so he actually just ends up going Albion, put it on the bottom of the deck, milling, Branded Opening, and then he draws a card, then shuffles his hand immediately. I didn't catch which card he drew, but I think it was another Tactics, but I'm not sure. And then just scoops it up immediately. Yeah, you can't do that, especially with events back in full force for Yu-Gi-Oh! You can't just draw a card illegally and then shuffle your hand. That would just be straight up a game loss in really any tournament, because you can't verify exactly what was drawn. Now in Dueling Book, it's a little bit different because an admin or a judge can actually see what was drawn, so they can tell you, hey, put that card back, and then continue playing from there. In real life, though, with actual, especially Konami sanctioned events, you cannot do that. You will get a game loss for that. Locals level, regional level, anything like that. Don't do it. Don't make that mistake. Even then, I mean, Rivalry, Moye, Ashina, DD Crow, Banish 1 doesn't even matter. Cross Out doesn't matter. He's probably not playing Crow in the main deck at all, or siding it in for Cross Out. It just wouldn't have mattered anyway. I'm pretty sure no matter what, we would have been able to break through the board, especially because Vashuda is just so strong, especially right now. That's why I like the Protoss ban. Even as a Swordsoul Tenyi player, I absolutely hated not being able to use my Ashina, having to have, Vashuda, and having to have Ashina instead. That is our 3 matches for Swordsoul Tenyi. I'm going to go ahead and post kind of an updated deck profile soon and see, kind of what you guys think of it. It's basically, like I said, just Sean's list with 3 DD Crow instead. We might theory it a little bit more on exactly what you hit, especially with the upcoming meta decks in Dimension Force, and kind of seeing, what we do for this format. If you guys liked the video, again, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. This is Eric with OzoneTCG, and I will see you guys in the next one.